Nashville just had one of the worst ice storms in decades roll through. I'm talking power outages, below freezing temperatures. I have been bundled up in layers for a week now. So I thought, what better time to talk about winter travel than now? Last month in December, my friend Alyssa and I went to Europe for a Christmas market river cruise where we cruised down the Danube River, starting in Germany, hitting Austria, Slovakia, and Hungary, and stopped at all the different Christmas markets along the way. And I packed carry-on only for that 13-day trip. I know. I even surprised myself that I did it. So in today's video, I wanted to give my tips on how to pack carry-on only for winter travel. So when we think of packing for winter, we're thinking lots of bulky sweaters and lots of layers. So when we're talking about layers, we're gonna go over base layers, mid layers, and your outerwear. So starting with your base layer, I recommend looking at a thermal base layer. So Uniqlo's Heat Tech clothing line is a great base layer option, or just any thermal base layer, thermal tops, thermal bottoms. Anything that can be a little bit thinner material will serve as a great base layer. You want it warm. Anything that's a cotton material is not going to be a good base layer. Cotton is a very breathable fabric, so your body temperature, the heat is going to be escaping, cold air is going to be coming in, you're not going to be staying warm. So you want to focus on other fabrics that are not as breathable as cotton. Then for your mid layer, having something kind of on top of that, I recommend a merino wool fabric. There are some thin merino wool sweaters. I purchased a couple from Uniqlo. So I purchased about 3 of their merino wool sweaters. So they're this very thin material. I purchased them in some different color options, and they were able to pack down nicely because they're thin. The merino wool fabric trapped in the warm heat, so it kept me warm. But the thin material wasn't a bulky layer, so that I can add on layers, and it was great for packing to pack more. So on top of the mid layer, I do look at a couple outer layers, like an inner outer layer and an outer layer. So my inner outer layer, I packed a fleece pullover as well as a Christmas sweater. So those are my 2 bulky sweaters. I wore this pullover fleece on the plane and packed my other sweater in my carry-on suitcase, but that allowed me another layer. So what I ultimately packed was 4 base layers. 2 tank tops, white and black, 2 t-shirts, white and black, and then for the mid layer, 2 casual long sleeve t-shirts, 2 regular long sleeve shirts, and then the 3 merino wool sweaters in the red, navy, and green. And then for the layer on top of that, the fleece pullover in the Christmas sweater. All of these can be mixed and matched, layered on top of each other or worn separately for different outfits. For bottoms, I brought a pair of wide leg jeans, a pair of skinny jeans, a pair of pant leggings, and then athletic leggings to wear on the plane, as well as 2 t-shirts for the plane ride, 1 there and 1 back, and my pajamas. Now for the outerwear, I recommend looking for the Goldilocks of coats, something not too thick and bulky, but not too thin that it won't keep you warm. As well as you don't want anything too cropped or hitting waist length, I recommend a coat that goes about mid-thigh. That's a good portion of your body that will be covered by your outer layer to keep most of you warm on the outer side. I went with this jacket by Columbia. It's a thinner puffer jacket that has the heat technology on the inside to keep me warm. It's also mid-thigh, so it did cover a good portion of my body. Because it is a thinner puffer jacket, it was easy to just roll up and not be bulky when I carried it on the plane. Since I tend to fly economy only, I didn't want anything too bulky that it would be spilling over into the passenger seat next to me. So I wanted to be considerate. So having a coat that would keep me warm but wasn't too bulky was essential. I also sized up one size so that I could have multiple layers underneath and still have that freedom and range of motion when I was wearing multiple layers. Along the bulky outer layer, I also recommend wearing your bulkiest winter boots on the plane. So I invested in these Sorel winter boots that have a good faux fur lining to keep my feet warm. They're waterproof and have good traction. I recommend wearing your bulkiest boots on the plane, so this is going to help with packing carry-on only. But also investing in a good pair of winter boots is essential for winter travel. The weather can be all types of climate. It can be dry, windy, and cold. It can be rainy, snowy, and everything in between. So having boots that are waterproof is going to be super important because no one wants cold, wet feet. That's the quickest way to ruin your trip. If you're going to invest in some winter boots before your trip, I do recommend breaking them in. So when I purchased these boots, I did purchase them about a month or two before the trip. So I was going on a walk every other day for a couple of weeks wearing these boots just to break them in. You tend to walk a little bit more when you travel than you do in your daily life. And so if you don't break in your winter boots before your trip, the first day you wear them, you're gonna get blisters, sore feet, and it's just gonna ruin the rest of your trip. So definitely break in your winter boots before you travel. Let's talk about how I stayed connected on this trip because it is an important piece to consider. While it's not something you have to pack, figuring out your data plan ahead of time can save you a headache later on. I like to purchase an eSIM for my data instead of going with my home domestic carrier's international plan because that's restrictive and expensive. Holafly actually gifted me an eSIM for this trip, so thank you, Holafly. And I used it hopping from Christmas market to Christmas market. Setup was super easy. I installed it before I left, activated it when I landed, and best of all, I didn't have to worry about my home carrier's expensive international plan or roaming fees. What I loved most is that Holafly offers unlimited data. I didn't have to worry about how much data I was using while navigating Google Maps, checking restaurant reviews, scrolling social media, or messaging my friends and family. I was constantly moving between destinations and I was able to use my phone without any issues. If you're planning a multi-destination trip like a Christmas market river cruise where you're crossing borders frequently, an eSIM like Holafly is one of the easiest ways to stay connected. I'll have my affiliate link for Holafly in the description box if you want to check it out. Now let's talk the packing technique. Because how are you actually going to pack carry-on only with all of these items? I was gonna say 2 words, packing cubes, but I've switched from packing cubes to compression cubes, which has been an even bigger game changer than when I discovered packing cubes. So packing cubes are great for keeping things organized, but switching to compression cubes, they have an extra zipper to really compress and tighten the cube even more. So you can just really squeeze all of your clothing items together for saving the most space. For my carry-on setup, I travel with my away bigger carry-on suitcase that I store in the overhead bin and my BAGSMART backpack as my personal item that will go under the seat in front of me. My biggest pro tip is packing a couple of outfits in your personal item. A lot of people don't utilize their personal item for clothing storage, and I think that's a huge mistake. So one of my compression cubes, I will pack at least an outfit or 2 into and put that compression cube in my backpack. And this serves so many purposes. Not only it spreads out your clothes so that you can pack more and it's not all fitting into your suitcase, but if you want to check your suitcase or if the airline forces you to check your suitcase for sizing reasons, or if just all the overhead bins are filled by the time you board the plane, so you have to gate check, then you have some outfits in your personal item with you. If you've seen my adventures to Germany and the travel lessons I learned from that a couple of years ago, you may be aware that when I landed on my connecting flight in Paris, a passenger had mistakenly taken my carry-on suitcase out of the overhead bin. I eventually got it back, but had I not, it would have been kind of stressful. So biggest tip is packing a compression cube with a couple of outfits. Then the rest of my clothes in the remaining 2 compression cubes in my carry-on suitcase. Now, for 13 days, packing that many undergarments and socks was a lot, so I did not actually put those in a compression cubes. I just spread those in between all the nooks and crannies on the very bottom of my suitcase. I layered my Christmas sweatshirt on top of that. and then put my compression cubes on top of that on the compression side of my suitcase. Now, I did pack a day backpack from Away. I flattened that out and put that on the other side of my suitcase. So if I wanted to do some shopping at the Christmas markets, I had an extra bag to store some of those souvenirs or gifts. And if I were to do that, then I would check my suitcase on the way home. And then I put all of my toiletries, shoes, and everything on top of that flat backpack. Now, I did bring 3 other pairs of shoes in addition to my winter boots. So I packed a pair of black Chelsea ankle boots, some white sneakers, and then some slides. So in Budapest, we were going to be visiting the the thermal baths. So I needed to bring a swimsuit and my own pair of slides or flip-flops. So I did bring a pair. Those slides also were great for just wearing on the boat if I didn't want to put on my bulky winter boots or other boots just walking around the boat when we're cruising. So those came in handy. So I packed the black ankle boots and the slides in a shoe bag and put those in my carry-on suitcase. My white sneakers I put in my personal item. So again, if my suitcase was lost or stolen or delayed, I still had another pair of shoes with me. So I put that in the shoe compartment of my BAGSMART backpack. I also brought a flat crossbody purse that I laid in my backpack for just walking around on my trip. I do bring a smaller purse for the airport where I keep my wallet, phone, and everything. Just while I'm walking around, especially if I have a long layover, I can easily grab my wallet or phone. And that also easily fits into my backpack when I'm about ready to board. If I'm packing carry-on only and you can only have the 2 bags, and I easily just put that little purse in my backpack. And it also gives me another purse option on my trip. In my last packing video, I mentioned I put some of my toiletries in a Ziploc bag into my toiletry bag. So once I pass security, then I will separate and pull out that Ziploc bag and put those liquids in my personal item. Again, my thought process is always, if I'm separated from my carry-on suitcase, I want the most important liquids that I need on me, like extra contacts, contact solution, medication, anything like that, in my personal item. So I will separate that into my backpack once I pass security. And that's it. That is how I packed carry-on only for my Christmas market cruise to Europe this past December. If you want more details on what I packed and my tips on staying warm, I'll leave my full blog post in the description box below so you can check that out. And if you want to check out Holafly's unlimited data eSIM, I'll leave my affiliate link there so you can check that as well. Let me know if you found this helpful. Give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao for now.